Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 8 of the Two Generations, One Mic podcast.
I love this music. Whoa, I love this music, yeah.
Day 456. The Diaries of a Boy in Quarantine. Slowly but surely.
The crowd goes wild, yeah. Thank you guys all so much for returning for the 8th episode of our podcast. We really appreciate you guys all for returning. Thank you guys for all the support on last week's episode. And seems like we break new goals on the podcast every week now, so thank you guys so much for all the support. And don't forget to like and subscribe before we get too deep into the episode and you forget. But, Dad, how's your week been going? I know it's been a hectic week for both of us. Last episode was a hassle to get up and going, but we're so glad Gabby could come on the show last week and join us. But, Dad, go ahead and fill everybody in on your week and stuff.
Well, first I want to say thanks again to Gabby because that was a lot of fun. And I know I talked a lot about, a lot of memories that we had, but it was just super fun having her. She's a heck of a girl and a beautiful soul, and we're just happy to have her. And I wanted to mention something I didn't mention last week. It was Valentine's week. I'm sorry I got a little bit of a scratchy throat. We've been working hard, rehearsing. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But since it was Valentine's week last week, I neglected to mention on the podcast that one of my favorite memories with Gabby was doing our daddy-daughter dances.
Oh, yeah, like your guys' little dad-daughter dances at the school and stuff whenever you guys were little.
Yeah, well, she was a dancer. She was in dance class, starting very young.
Oh, yeah,
but whenever February rolled around, they had daddy-daughter dances every February around Valentine's Day, and that's some of my favorite memories were dressing up. They had different themes every year. One time it was a masquerade ball. One time it was in New York. And all through her younger years, we had that. And, I think the last time that we really danced was at her 16th birthday party.
Right, yeah, and I remember that.
I just look forward to maybe one day dancing again with her at her wedding. But anyway, it was...
Hopefully you guys will get to dance together before then. Jeez. That'd be a long time. Gabby ain't gonna get married anytime soon. Oh!
You never know. But anyway, it was a lot of fun having her. And
I enjoyed getting to talk to Gabby too. And we'll definitely have Gabby back on the show sometime because it seemed like people really enjoyed it. Because, we had I think it's up to 120 views in like 4 days or something like that. So, I'm glad you guys really enjoyed last week's episode and we really enjoyed making it. And I really just wanted to talk a lot about like things that are important to us now and like things that were important to us growing up, and those things just so happen to be movies and gaming. So we wanted to talk a lot about like some of our favorite movies growing up or our favorite movies now, and like just some big movies that are big in our lives and stuff. Like, for example, we really want to talk about Star Wars this week because that whole trilogy is a big part of my life and a part of me and my dad's relationship growing up and stuff. So there's a lot we want to mention about that.
And pop culture in general.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on in the pop culture world that I want to mention this week with A$AP Rocky, if any of you guys know who he is. And SNL had their 50th anniversary the other night, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too. So we have a lot of really good topics for today's episode, so we really hope you guys stick around to the end of the episode and you guys hear what all we have to say in today's episode. So, Dad, you want to go ahead and get it kicked off here?
Well, you were talking about movies, and I was trying to think of some of the movies that I watched when I was a kid. And then some of the movies that I really enjoyed that stick out in my mind. And there are so many of them, but when I was a kid, like 7 or 8 years old, disaster movies were really in. And I don't know.
Well, like tsunami movies and like earthquake movies and stuff?
Yeah. In fact, there was a movie called Earthquake. It was really cool. We also had one called The Towering Inferno, and that was really good. It had Paul Newman in it, and it was just they were trying to escape a burning building. That was a really big one. And when I got to be about 9, Jaws came out, and man, that movie scared me to death.
I can remember. That's another movie that I wanted to talk about too. I remember you showing Jaws to me as a kid, and it didn't scare me because obviously scary movies have ramped up quite a lot since then. But It didn't scare me at all, but I've always really liked Jaws. I thought it was a really good movie.
Oh, it was just a fantastic movie. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah,
you know,
the music,
of course,
the suspense, the stuff, the anticipation in that movie, they killed it.
Oh, man, it was great all the way around. And it scared me. I didn't even want to take a bath after that. I mean, I did not want to go in the water.
Same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. Nobody wanted to take a bath after watching that bath scene in Nightmare on Elm Street.
You know what? Steven Spielberg had some really great hits back in that time, starting with Jaws, and he had Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark
and
was
Star
one.
Wars, of course, like we wanted to mention.
Star Wars, yeah, was the big one, and that was like 77 too. And I'm going to tell you, Ethan, it really affected us. It came out at like gangbusters. It was, Jaws was the first big summer blockbuster movie, but Star Wars was like the end all be all. I mean, me and your
Star
Uncle
Wars.
Darren,
I think Star Wars completely changed everything for movies and sci-fi in general, and like CGI and just practical effects, and Star Wars changed the games in a lot of ways, and it was way ahead of its time for the 70s.
It was cool. It was so cool. Me and your Uncle Doug and your Uncle Darren, my two brothers, Mom would drop us off at the mall, and we'd watch Star Wars, and then as soon as we got out, we'd walk maybe over to check out the Star Wars memorabilia in the t-shirt shop at the mall. And we'd immediately get back in line and watch it again. And we could not wait to save up enough money to watch it again. I must have watched that thing 10, 15 times.
See, that's how I am now with like Spider-Man movies. I love anything Spider-Man. I'll go watch it 15 times if I have to.
Well, you got all your streaming services and everything now.
That's true. Yeah, with streaming services, movies are going out of fad, but I mean, movies now are, it's $20 a ticket to go to a movie now anyway. Like, who wants to pay those prices to go to a movie?
Well, in our little hometown, and we talk a lot about Dangerfield, Texas, where we grew up, there is a movie house, and I call it, the old picture show, and it just turned 100 years old. I think it was built back in like the 1920s. Was one of my first jobs as a kid. We were talking about movies that influenced me when I was a child, but I also got to see a bunch of first-run movies there at the Morris Twin Center. And Halloween, man, when it came out, I was 10 years old. Halloween was like the scariest movie ever. Now, they had The Exorcist, and they had some other ones that came out after, like Friday the 13th.
Right.
And Nightmare on Elm Street. And those are scary movies. The Shining was a scary movie. But Halloween scared me, and you know why?
What's that?
Because it's something that could actually happen. Like Jaws was like over the top, but like, and Friday the 13th with Freddy, you kind of have to suspend your belief, and it was kind of a dream thing, and it was, and then Jason was so over the top that you just didn't think it would, like that could ever happen to you.
Right.
But Halloween, like a guy escapes a mental institution and comes back to his hometown and like wreaks havoc.
Tries to kill everybody that he knows.
And plus he had this like this mask, this like
just like pale white Michael Myers mask. It's just like
pale face, like a motionless face.
Yeah, right.
And it was just scary because it was just, the teenagers, it was originally supposed to be called like the Babysitter Murders or something like that, but they changed it to Halloween. And plus the music, man. Music is a big part of movies for me, and Star Wars was scored by a guy named John Williams, who also did all the Raiders of the Lost Ark and Close Encounters.
Right, all the Indiana Jones. We loved the Indiana Jones whenever I was growing up too.
Yeah, man, those movies just they got you going, man. It's like I wanted to be an archaeologist after that.
And the Indiana Jones ride at Disney is really fun too. I've had the opportunity to ride it at Disney. That was really awesome.
I did too. I did the one out at Disneyland in California.
Disney's such an important part of movies too. I wanted to mention that. Like, there's so many like great Disney and Pixar movies that have had all the way back to Snow White, the very first one, to like the most recent Pixar movie. There's so many great Disney movies, and like excuse me, growing up watching like Cars and like Wall-E and stuff. Those were my two favorite Disney movies growing up. I can go back and watch Wall-E now, and there's stuff that I missed in the first ones, or there's little hidden, kind of jokes directed. Easter eggs or jokes directed kind of towards the adults that you may have missed, like as a kid growing up watching it. And I loved Toy Story growing up, and it was so fun. It was so fun as a 16-year-old getting to go watch Toy Story 4 whenever it came out, back 2 years ago, whatever it was. And, Disney's just a huge part of my childhood. And, like, when it comes to movies, you gotta mention Disney.
Yeah, and Pixar, they were really, truly a game changer. And, it's funny because even as an adult, I was surprised at how emotional I got at Toy Story 3. And even in my 30s and 40s, I was like, oh my gosh, I was kind of weepy,
They're good at doing that stuff at, like, drawing that emotion from you, especially those Pixar movies. A lot of them, they love to draw a tear from you. I don't know why they like doing that so much, but they do.
There's some others that you probably don't know because they were, before your time, but some that are comedy movies that I enjoyed. One was called Live in Concert, Live from Sunset Strip, and it was Richard Pryor, and it was just him on stage. And I don't know if you know much about Richard Pryor, but he was a big influence on my sense of humor watching him as a teenager. In this, because he was so mad, just crazy, and he did these like caricatures, he did
just like big impressions of
like
people and
the
stuff.
Rhino, or the drug addict guy, or the old man.
Like impressions of people and stuff.
I'm sorry?
Like kind of like impressions and stuff.
Yeah, he did, impressions of, all these different characters, and he was so good at it. He really drew you in, and it made me, I think, want to be an actor later on. Yeah. And then there was also like Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, just so over the top, And
I know about Cheech and Chong. They're still popular and pulling numbers today. Like, they have a TikTok, and they like to post funny videos on TikTok and stuff. And, you guys should go down to the description down below and follow us on TikTok if you guys haven't already, because we like to post little teasers and stuff on TikTok there and stuff. But, yeah, I love watching Cheech and Chong now. They're really funny. And I know they had a show back in the day, didn't they?
Well, they started on stage, just doing comedy bits, and then somebody saw them and was like, hey, that ought to be a movie. And I tell you, the thing about Cheech and Chong that I remember most is your Uncle Darren had an album of theirs, and albums were real big back then, of course. Before cassette tapes, before 8 tracks and CDs, albums. We listened to that album. In our mind, it was like theater of the mind. We're almost like we were there.
The worst music
then
ever.
when we went to see their movie, we could recite everything. I mean, your Uncle Darren and I can do Cheech and Chong and practically do the whole movie.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to see that next Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke. Start with that one.
Oh my gosh.
Later on in the 80s, of course, there was the Breakfast Club and Fast Times at Ridgemont.
I love the Breakfast Club. Alyssa doesn't like the Breakfast Club for some reason, and that's crazy to me. I love the Breakfast Club, and that's a great movie. I guess I can relate to it as a kid who would be put in detention more often than others.
Maybe that's why you can.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely why I like it more than Alyssa does, probably.
And Fast Times at Ridgemont High was really good when it came out, because it was set, as a teen movie. And it had such great songs of that time,
there's so many great songs you could pull out of movies. There's so many songs that have made their way because of movies.
Yeah, we had one that came out in the 90s called Dazed and Confused.
I know what that is.
Yeah, Die Hard's one of my favorites too.
Die Hard,
Dazed
of course,
was a really good movie too, and it reminded me of growing up there in East Texas. You remember that's Matthew McConaughey's first.
Yeah, and Matthew McConaughey actually, he was born and raised in Longview, Texas, 30 minutes down the road from where we live or would live.
That's right. That's
why. Crazy.
And I think that movie was set in like an Austin, Texas area.
Wow.
And he had like, all right. It kind of spoke the way that we did.
Yeah. No, yeah, and he's now a professor at the University of Texas in Austin, and of course, obviously he acts and stuff, but he teaches a little film or like theater class there at Austin, and he goes to all the football games and stuff. They love to pop him up on the screen whenever they're doing like the college football games, and he's always on the sideline cheering on the team. And yeah, he's a big Texas guy, and yeah, hometown guy from Longview, Texas. Went to Longview High School.
Always one of my favorites. And I tell you this too, Ethan. Dorinda and I just watched a movie on Netflix the other day with him in it.
The Dallas Buyers Club?
It was called The Free State of Jones.
Well, the Dallas Buyers Club is another movie that he's the main character in, which is also really good. He won an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I need to see that.
It's on Netflix. You can check it out. But
I can relate.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's really good. What movie were you talking about, though?
See this one that we saw the other day, and it's set in the Civil War, and he's like a deserter to go home to protect his family and friends or whatever. And back then they shot deserters, you know, and so he always had these people like coming after him. This was based on a true story. It was set in Mississippi, and apparently this whole area they tried to fight against, you know, and the Union wouldn't give them any help. And then, man, it's really, really good. But he had this great accent. You'll have to check it out.
There's not much more. I mean, we could go on for hours and hours talking about all of our favorite movies, but I really want to start talking about some gaming stuff, Dad, because you know this is my bread and butter. This is what my channel actually was for before we had the podcast, which was gaming and streaming Fortnite every day. Yeah, Dad, is there anything you wanted to ask me, or you want me to just go ahead and kind of get into some of the stuff I want to talk about?
You know, I did. Gaming was a lot different when I was a kid. It was just definitely. But you grew up. I think, didn't you, when you had your channel on YouTube before? Weren't you like a Fortnite fan?
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, the channel that we're on right now, it did used to be my YouTube channel that I used for streaming Fortnite videos and stuff, and I would hop on there and go live and stream myself playing Fortnite. You know, just play the games, just talk to people that wanted to watch me play Fortnite. And, you know, that was my dream one day, was becoming a big streamer playing video games, just, you know, playing Fortnite, talking to people. And, you know, it did pretty successful. I had a lot of people that enjoyed it, and I amassed like 400-something subscribers, and it was a good time. But this channel was mainly for video games before we had the podcast.
What did you like about Fortnite?
I don't know. So back in 2017, I think Fortnite started back in like 2016 or something like that, but in like 2017, I went and spent the night at my friend Kason Terry's house. Kason, you know, if you're out there listening, thank you for listening. I just remember going and spending the night at his house, and he was playing, you know, Fortnite or whatever, and I had never seen it before or heard of it, and I had asked him, I was like, what are you playing? Like, that looks really fun, and you know, I had never heard of it. I was just getting into video games myself. I was probably like 10 years old or something. And he was like, I'm playing Fortnite. My older brother's been playing it with his friends, and it's really fun. And I was like, okay, I'll download it whenever I get home. I downloaded it, and it was all up from there. I didn't step away from my PS4 for like, I think 7 years after that incident. So yeah, I ended up spending a bunch of money on skins that I regret now. And Fortnite, I definitely grew up on Fortnite. I'd played, I think, 30 seasons of that game, and I've watched Fortnite from the very beginning to what it is today, and I think I've finally fallen out of love with Fortnite. I've started playing a lot of different games, and I don't think I've touched Fortnite in like 2 months. I know what it was,
but you tell everybody out there if they never played Fortnite, like you were talking about skins and, you know, what...
Yeah, Fortnite, it's like for anybody that doesn't know, it's like a battle royale game, which is like, it's like they put 100 players onto a map. It's 100 people all across the world, real people. I know they could be all across the United States or people all across the world. Or, you know, you start on like what they call a battle bus, and you fly in the map and land wherever you want on the map. You get your guns, and then you fight until there's the very last one. And then throughout the game, like every 2 or 3 minutes, there's a storm, which is just a circle on the map that you have to stay inside the circle. And, you know, it slowly pushes people together. That way you have to eliminate each other until there's one person standing, and then, you know, obviously the last person wins. And I don't know what it was, but Fortnite just absolutely, you know, lit fire in like 2017, 2018, 2019. And, you know, whenever COVID happened and everything, everybody was in the house playing video games, and Fortnite just caught even more attention. And yeah, that game stuck around for like 3 years straight. That was the #1 game in the world, like no question about it. But it's starting to kind of fade out a little more.
Because it was so original, you know.
Yeah, it really was.
And it kind of pushes you to the other players. Anyway, so you're kind of out of it now. What did you your taste changed? Or?
I really do still like those, like, you know, fighting games where it's, you know, you against other players and stuff. But I kind of just fell out of love with Fortnite. I mean, I've been playing it since I was maybe 10 years old, and I mean, I'm 18 years old now. I just kind of, it's just getting kind of, the same thing to me, repetitive, but I kind of just like to play more sports games now, or more of like the story games. Like on PS4 right now, I've liked to play the God of War games, which is like, it's kind of set in like the Greek mythology times, and you're playing as this guy Kratos, and he's like a ancient Spartan guy, and you just have to like travel through Nordic times and like fight all types of different guys, and it's a really fun game. I'll have to pop a bunch of pictures up so you guys can see all the cool stuff, and maybe some videos so you guys can see some gameplay, but it's a really fun game. And I've also been getting into recently College Football 24. They just came out with like, it's basically college football, all the teams and stuff, and you can build your own team, have your own college football player in the game. And this is the first college football video game they've had since 2013, and people have been begging for them to bring out a new college football game for years, and they finally did this past year in 2024, and everybody was so excited. And I wasn't able to get it whenever it first came out because I only had a PS4, because it was only on the new generation consoles, which is PS5 and the newer series of consoles, like the newest Xbox and stuff. But I got a PS5 for Christmas, so I immediately went and bought it, and I've been playing that a lot. So I've been playing that, and God of War, like I said, and I've always been a big Madden player, which is just NFL for video games and stuff. So it's not necessarily that my tastes have changed. I've just kind of fallen into other stuff right now, and Fortnite's kind of fallen flat. They're not updating the game much. There's nothing really new, nothing to keep me wanting to play it. So I'm just gonna find the new stuff. And also, like I said, I got a PS5 for Christmas. So like I said, I wasn't able to play that college football game because I didn't have a PS5. There's so many other games that I can play with a PS5 now that I'm able to play, and there's just not enough time in my gaming schedule with work and school now to play Fortnite. So I'm gonna leave that to the newer generation. Like the other day, I was playing Fortnite. Not even the other day. I don't think I played Fortnite in like a month and a half. But a while back, I was playing Fortnite, and the guy that I was playing with, he sounded like a really younger kid. And I asked him, I was like, "How old are you, man?" He was like, "I'm 8." And I was like, "Wait, you're 8 years old?" I was like, "So wait, what year were you born?" He was like, 2016. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm playing a video game right now. Like, my teammate is a guy that was born the same year that I started playing this game. Like, what is going on right now? I probably need to go play Call of Duty, you on.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I love video games. Video games are such a big part of my life, but I've also had my moments where I throw controllers at walls or break tables because I get mad at my freaking game. But I've definitely gotten better now. I'm an adult. Calm down. It's just a video game.
It's just a game.
Now that I'm 18 years old, I love to use that card. That I'm an adult. Calm down.
Listen, when I was a kid, man, there was nothing better than playing pinball.
Oh yeah, I love playing pinball now. That's fun.
I just love pinball, and your Uncle Darren and I, we were good friends growing up. And when we were teenagers, we'd go down to the 7-Eleven down by the junior high in Fort Smith, Arkansas, when we lived there and played pinball. There was one called Silver Ball Mania, and it was just awesome. It was just the way it was set up.
Machine on the lights.
Look it up online or whatever. But
yeah, I'll have to pop up a picture of it.
Well, in pinball, if you shake the game too hard, it tilts and you lose the ball. Right?
Yeah, right.
So, but this one in particular had a flaw in it. It was like a glitch, and you could hit the side of the game, and it would pop up games. So you'd go clock, and we could do as many games as we wanted on one corner. Yeah, so we just loved playing that. And then your Granny Joe worked at a bowling alley, and we would go in there after school, and she worked in the lounge or whatever. And it was like the late 70s, and there was the Kiss pinball machine was in there when it first came out.
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen one of those before.
And we talked about that. I was so into Kiss, and I just loved playing that Kiss pinball machine.
We've talked about in one of our previous episodes when we talked about music, how much me and my dad are both into Kiss. And, my whole room behind me is dedicated to Kiss, so.
That's cool. Yeah, but, the arcades came in there. I don't know if you knew this, but and arcades were so much fun. In the malls, they had like Aladdin's Castle, and they still do, I think, in malls. But if you can find a good open, popular mall, they still have those arcades. But even in Dangerfield, Texas, our little small town of like 2,500, we had 3 arcades.
I know. I wanted to say whenever you mentioned that earlier, like, I wish Dangerfield still now had all the arcades that they did back then, because I remember as a kid, you always mentioning, like, how whenever you were a kid back in the 70s or the 80s or whatever, they had a bunch of arcades, and, like, now Dangerfield is so dead, they have nothing there for, like, entertainment-wise, other than the, Morris Theater, the movie theater we mentioned earlier.
Well, and they got a great state park. That's one of the big draws, so that's right outside the city. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Arcades just kind of fell out. But it was so much fun when we were kids to go to the arcade. And it still is to go to the mall. It kind of brings back those memories.
Man, I love going to the arcade now. I wish there were more arcades now. Bring the arcades back, man. What?
Yeah, man, bring them back. Maybe we'll start a...
Bring them back. Let's start a... What's it called? What's it called? That thing where you get people to sign the piece of paper?
We'll sign a petition.
Yeah, get a petition started. Bring the arcades back. We need one on every block.
That's right. Yeah, bring back the arcades to Dangerfield. I always thought about that since I've been an adult is like, what can we do to help? Because we don't want to say that Dangerfield's dead. They're just
right.
It's changed over the years,
but they're rebuilding right now. I mean, they're adding a lot of new stuff into Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, they're on their way back. I think there was a lot of new businesses in town, but that would be a good thing for somebody to open there in Dangerfield and give the kids some place to safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we do need some good, fun entertainment to keep people on the right track, and just some good fun in Dangerfield. That's for sure.
Well, you mentioned maybe having Alyssa on and maybe Dorinda.
We definitely.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know an exact timeline yet, but you guys will have to turn on notifications down below so you guys can see whenever we do these episodes. We definitely are planning on having Alyssa on. She's a little jealous that she wasn't the first guest on the show. She had mentioned... This
is your lovely girlfriend we're talking about.
Yeah, my amazing girlfriend, Alyssa, of course. She wants to be on the show now after my sister Gabby was on the show. She was like, so when am I going to be on the show since Gabby was already on? And I was like, hey, man, you can come on any week you want to. So we're definitely going to have her on and have a bunch of really good talks with her. And we actually are going to have her and my dad's wife, Dorinda, on the same episode. So we're going to have to figure out the schedule. And hopefully within the next 3 weeks, definitely have both of them on one episode. So... hopefully you guys will enjoy that, and that'll be a really
great. They can just sit there and gab about all the
gossip. That'll be great for sure. It's going to be a really funny episode. I think it'll be real fun. So you guys will definitely have to check that out. I wanted to go ahead and mention some pop culture things since we're kind of moving on. For anybody that doesn't know, this is something that's really big that's going on this week in pop culture. So to fill everybody in, there's a rapper by the name of A$AP Rocky. He's one of my favorites, a lot of people's favorites in my generation. Really great rapper. He has a lot of great music. He's actually married to Rihanna. Obviously everybody knows who Rihanna is. They're married and they have 2 children together, 2 young kids. And this past month, and actually over the past 3 months, it came out that he was going to be going to trial over something that happened back in 2016. It was something that happened, and allegedly he had shot somebody that was one of his friends in his friend group, and it was an accident, or they had a little scuffle or something, and he had shot him or whatever. And he was going to court over it, and he was facing 24 years in prison for 2 counts of assault with a firearm or something like that. And he was facing 24 years in prison, and I was freaking out myself, and I know a lot of other people out there were, because no way, please do not lock this guy up for 24 years. Like, I need his music. He's so great. Like, please don't lock this man up. But a lot of videos, security cam footage of that exact incident have come out, and there's been a lot of talk about this incident over the past few months. But over the past 3 weeks, he's actually gone to trial over it, and 2 days ago, he actually got prosecuted, and the trial ended, and it actually came out that he was not guilty on both counts. And the second that it came out that he was not guilty, he jumped over the stands or whatever right into the crowd and hugged Rihanna the second that he found out that he was not guilty. And he was found not guilty on both charges. And actually, a day before the trial ended or whatever, they offered him if you'll just take 6 months in jail and a little bit of probation and a couple of other things that go along with it, we'll just let it go. Like, just take 6 months in jail. And he stuck with his guns. He was pleading by I'm not guilty, and then the next day he went to trial and he was found not guilty. And thank God he's not going to go to jail for the next 24 years, and we'll have more A$AP Rocky music coming soon.
That is crazy.
I know,
you're talking about somebody that I really have no clue who you're talking. I think I've heard that name.
A$AP Rocky. I'm sure you've heard some of his music before. I'll have to send you some, but yeah, check him out. He's a really great rapper, and he doesn't just rap. He doesn't just rap too. He also like sings a little. Him and Rihanna have some songs together, and he's a really talented guy. He has a lot of great instrumentals and stuff, and yeah, but there's a lot of really interesting stuff behind that trial. So you guys will have to go do your own research if you guys want to learn more about that. Dad, do you want to go ahead and mention some of the stuff we had to talk about SNL this week? I know we wanted to talk about SNL 50. They just had their 50th anniversary this past, I think it was 2 days ago as well that they had their anniversary, and there were some crazy moments that happened, but I know, Dad, you have been a big fan of SNL pretty much since it began. Like you said, you and Dorinda both watched the very first episode whenever it came out, whenever that was, so do you want to go ahead and talk about SNL for a minute?
When we were kids, we got up on Saturday morning, we ate our cereal, we watched cartoons, and then by noon we went outside and we played all day. And we waited for Saturday Night Live.
Of course.
Because we watched it when it first came out in 1975. I was 7 years old. I got to stay up late, and we watched it because there was so much hype around it. And a guy named George Carlin, funny counterculture comedian, was the host that night. And I didn't understand half of the stuff he was talking about. I just thought it was hilarious that they were doing stuff that you couldn't, and they had it on really late at night because they were doing some kind of risque things here and there. And the not ready for primetime players is what they call them.
Right.
Were John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, who later on, went to Ghostbusters and
now that's all SNL is about, is like the edgier jokes and like being on that line and going over that line a lot and like doing the risque jokes and
great.
Being crazy.
And since we were too young to go on dates, that we later Saturday nights were date night, but we just waited for Saturday Night Live to come on, every Saturday, and it just seemed to get better and better. And then, throughout its tenure, through the late 70s, once the first cast left, they recruited some new people and didn't quite take off so good, and we thought, well, maybe this is the end of Saturday Night Live. And then, of course, people like Eddie Murphy came in.
Right, yeah.
And kind of re-energized it.
And that's, I was gonna mention
David
that.
Spade and, Adam Sandler and, of course, Will Ferrell. And that whole era throughout the 90s was really, really funny. You mentioned that we were going to talk about Saturday Night Live a little bit, and I know we don't want to stay on it too long, but I did just watch on YouTube. I didn't get to catch it live, but I watched it on YouTube, all of the different things that they had, all the different vignettes from their 50th anniversary. And it's hard to believe, man, 50 years
Yeah,
that the show has been on the air. And, it was funny, because of all the cast members that they brought back, and all the different shows
they redid a lot of the skits from that they've done back in the day from the early 2000s or the 90s.
They had a lot of the cast members back, and it was funny and very nostalgic. But it's just hard to believe that it's been going, that long. I haven't watched it in a while since like Will Ferrell was on there back in the early 2000s. I kind of fell out of watching it.
Well,
but
now
I do like to watch it occasionally when I hear somebody like Dave Chappelle is hosting.
See, that's what I was going to mention. Is like that's the whole thing about SNL now. Is like people of my generation, they really just like to watch SNL. Not even like watch the whole thing. They just like to really focus on who's hosting it. Like it's a big thing to like be the host of SNL now or whatever, and it's like a moment in somebody's career, and everybody just likes to be like, oh, this person's hosting SNL this week. I'll have to see what their little funny jokes are whenever they open it, and stuff.
Well,
but there's so many
all the most popular, for instance, The Rock or Jason Momoa, or I like to watch the comedians like Bill Burr. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, of course.
And I just really love to watch anything that he's on.
Well, and see, there's also funny ones like they'll have Donald Trump come and host, or they'll have Elon Musk come and host. Like Elon Musk is one of the most awkward guys you'll ever see on television. Like of course, who doesn't want to see him host SNL? And he was actually really funny.
Yeah, and to be a musical guest on there because. All through the 70s and 80s and all the times that I watched it, it was also fun to catch the musical guests because they were the most popular groups or artists of the time, and we're talking about, everybody from Paul Simon to Mick Jagger to, In Excess and all through the 90s, and of course now all the people that you're into are, the Rihannas, and
right? Yeah,
Ariana Grande and Sabrina Carpenter and all those are all have made appearances on there. But anyway, hey, unless you got anything else on SNL, I wanted to mention something.
Go ahead.
We just wanted to send our condolences out to the people in Kentucky. And Eastern Kentucky got hit real bad by floods. And, of course, this was the same area that got hit, the North Carolina floods from a couple of months ago.
Right, from Helene and stuff.
Helene. And so anything that anyone can do, there are places that you can go, you can donate, look online. We would ask that you help these people out. The salt of the earth, really good people in this area. So we wanted to mention the things the bad things that happened over the past week. There are ways you can help, and we just wanted to send our love and our support to those people, and of course our prayers and condolences to the people that lost their lives. And I hope you don't mind me mentioning that.
No, of course not. Yeah. Of course, we always try to notice anything throughout the week, like events like this that happen in the world, or disasters and things like that, so we can bring a little attention to it. And we're not asking for you guys to go donate and stuff, but we do hope that if there's anybody out there listening who can help or do anything for it, there's ways online, and I'll pop up some pictures and stuff of places you guys can go to help these people out. And of course, we're still go ahead.
I'm sorry, or just send prayers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Prayers help too. And just try to think about, because it's freezing cold. It's cold there too, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's cold everywhere in the U.S. right now. And because that dang groundhog just had to make it 6 more weeks of winter. God, Mother Nature got the message, because, man, it was 85 degrees outside for like 2 days. And then I checked the weather and I was like, man, is it going to be nice? Is it time to break the bathing suit out and go to the pool next week? Like, what are we? It's 85 degrees outside. What's going on? I checked the weather. No. It's going to be sub-zero temperatures for the next 2 weeks straight. It was 20 degrees when I was going to class this morning.
Did you guys get any snow this week?
No, it was flurrying a little this morning, I think. I had to go help my roommate get some stuff out of his car, and it was flurrying a little. There was, barely any. Like, it was little white pieces of powder dropping out of the sky every 2 seconds, but I'm sure we'll get some here soon. It's getting really cold.
Well, we got hit pretty hard over the past week, and
I hope we do get some. I love the snow, but I hope it doesn't get too dangerous, like any bad to freeze the roads up and stuff, of course. But I love the snow.
Well, guys, I guess we should wrap it up, and I just wanted to mention also too, Ethan, that since we talked about movies and video games and whatever kind of games that you grew up with, we hope that you'll comment in our comment section on YouTube and the other platforms that we're on. Comment your favorite movies, what you liked about them, all your favorite video games growing up and why, because we love to see your comments, and we will answer each and every one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe comment, if you don't want to do that, maybe comment on some topics that we can touch on in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Make sure you definitely comment some topics you guys would love to hear us talk about, or maybe some pop culture stuff we might have missed from this week. Or
we will do our best to try to touch on those in the next couple of weeks. And of course, we're going to have some more special guests. I've already talked to your Uncle Doug and Uncle Darren. Maybe they'll be on. Hopefully we can get your mother, Patty, on in the next couple of weeks or months. And Alyssa's going to be the next one up, though, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, guys, make sure you guys stick around to the end of the episode here so you guys can see all the pet pictures that we got for this week, because maybe your pet might just be in there. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up right now the email that you guys can go ahead and send pet pictures to if you guys do want to send those over to us. If you guys got a pet dog, pet cat, rock, snake, bird, whatever you got, pet fish, please make sure to send those over to us so we can put those in the end of the episode, because we really do want to involve you guys more in the episodes just to make it more fun. And hopefully you guys will stick around to the end of the episodes. So make sure you guys send it over to the emails, or check out the description below so you guys can either copy the email, or you guys can find our social medias and you can send it to us that way as well.
Yeah, we know that a lot of you are friends on Messenger or Facebook, so you can send them that way as well.
So yeah, we appreciate you guys all so much for being here for the 8th episode of our podcast. Make sure you guys check out the channel next Fridays for episode 9. And man, we're creeping up on episode 10 here really soon. That's crazy to think. But yeah, we appreciate you guys all so much for watching.
516 subscribers right now.
Yeah, 516. So
we're we're just having so much fun, and we want to appreciate y'all. But anyway, let's wrap it up, and we'll talk about episode 9 next week.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Make sure you guys check out the channel and everything about us. So you guys can check out the teasers and check out the description below so you guys can see all of our social medias. And don't forget to like and leave a comment before you go. And we really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
All right, well, this was a lot of fun. I love you, son. Do good stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Dad. Thank you for being here and chatting with me. And we'll check you guys all out next week. Adios.
See you next time.